So what's going on, people? Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. I'm always moving and shaking out here, doing what I do, living life, enjoying life. So let me talk about this idea, this thought that I've had a long time ago. And I've even talked about this before on this channel a long time ago, because Tony Khan did the whole Forbidden Door concept, and I love that. And he did this with, New Japan. He did it with TNA. Once again, way before the WWE got involved with TNA. The only thing that the WWE did was had, their days in court with TNA and tried to make fun of the company and call them a small company and, tried to belittle them just to end up working with them. Somebody in the family put in the comments section on one of my last videos that, the WWE is only working with TNA just for the sake of taking their top stars and basically pretty much preventing AEW from working with them. And that's all. That's all they're doing. Okay? And they're not hurting AEW at all. If anything, they're hurting TNA, because when you take wrestlers and all, this is what their strategy is. Let's familiarize our NXT audience with Jordan Grace, with Joe Hendry, or whoever else that we have an interest in. And I can show you something where you can tell that these WWE fans, now they knew who Jordan Grace was, because when she came out at the Royal Rumble, you heard the ovation she got, so they knew who Jordan Grace was. But you see on NXT, for example, when Rosemary came out, it's like they barely knew who the fuck Rosemary was. She got no reaction. Ash by Elegance, I forgot what her name was when she was in WWE. She came out to no reaction whatsoever. The only two people that they reacted to was Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry. Now, with that all being said, we know, those who know, WWE always has an agenda. They're never doing anything to help someone else. It's always their own benefit. And now, what you benefit from the agreement, that's up to you. But I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, no problem. I wonder why Tony Khan didn't think about this. He could, look, when Tony Khan, they had an episode of Dynamite. Remember that? Ricky Steamboat came out. They had Ricky Morton, one half of the Rock and Roll Express come out. I mean, hell, even with Sting's retirement, you had Ric Flair come out and be a part of that. Now, let's look at this. TNT and TBS has a very rich history with wrestling. So, of course, you'd have some young, dumb WWE wrestling fan that doesn't know shit about wrestling say, oh, they have 2 titles named after a fucking TV station. What kind of belt is that? Yeah, because you don't know shit about wrestling. That's why. So basically, back in the day, you guys know they had what they call the TV title. Well, TBS and TNT are a huge part of NWA and WCW programming. Now, they were okay. That's the networks they were on. So all the content and the success that happened there, okay, that was the networks. So instead of just calling it a TV title, okay, which I feel like it's even much better to be called TBS or TNT. Why? TV titles should be defended every time there's TV aired. Okay, they have a show on TV. So with the TBS and TNT title, not necessarily. It's honoring the network. You understand? And so pretty much, I looked at that and I said, before you had WCW, there was NWA. Billy Corgan is running NWA. And I'm saying to myself, man, the history of this company being on TNT and TBS, do you know what type of, pay-per-view you can put on teaming up with the NWA? I mean, it's like the ideas that I have is I'm not gonna sit here and give a fucking hour of me just saying what's what. But I mean, bottom line, I mean, I'm not talking about so much AEW versus NWA, okay? Because you know damn well you're not gonna have somebody come from another show and beat your guys. So, but in fairness, I'm saying they could do like a Worlds Collide type of thing, where first off, this is a perfect type of setup and pay-per-view where you can have concept matches, and you can have like, the baby faces of the NWA team up with the baby faces of AEW, and you have one of these, pretty much, let's take who are the biggest assholes in NWA, who are the biggest assholes in AEW, team them up against, the top baby faces of, AEW and NWA, and guess what? You have yourself a match where not only do you want to see the faces win, but now people who don't watch NWA will go, okay, they'll start watching NWA. You might have NWA fans that maybe don't watch AEW, which is probably more highly unlikely, but it's like that. So you will there's always new faces that's going to see something, and they'll go, okay, because whoever these people are in the NWA that AEW fans aren't familiar with, now they will be, and vice versa, because the only thing that you see is YouTube. You don't get to see these people on TV. You don't get to see them on anything consistently. So, like I said in the previous video, it's like you can't follow storylines when you just see shows broken down like that, and especially when you don't get a full show. And even when you do get a full show, it's like this, right? People don't want to tune into something that they don't feel like is big. This era really criticized everything that they see, and it's like they don't have it in them to adjust anything different. So for those people who are saying, no, I like when something is different. I like to be surprised. I like when I don't know what's going to happen. I like the idea of doing something that we don't see on a regular basis. So it's not because WWE is working with TNA. I mean, hell, like I said, AEW worked with TNA long before, the WWE did. But when you look at it, it's like there's a company still out here that has a rich history, okay, on the networks that we're on. And we can do some work with them. Hell, they can even work with MLW. It could be the same concept with the exception if they had nothing to do with TNT and TBS. But this is what I'm saying. I feel like the NWA would be the perfect company to do this with. Can you imagine the nostalgia? Can you imagine if these old veteran wrestlers that they could have in the building? Can you imagine the platform, man? And I'm even picturing like if they had all of them come to the stage and then have them all announced as they come out, walk to the ring, and hey man, it's like a celebration. But you take the faces versus the heels versus the faces, make that like a cage match. You know what I'm saying? You can take like have two people from the NWA wrestle each other on this program, of course, and it's an AEW NWA collaboration. So yeah, it's about giving everybody like equal time, man. I mean, and plus you also got to remember there's the what you call the pre-show. So I mean, because listen, this type of thing, and it doesn't have to be just one event. It could be the one event, but you can have like a thing going when you have these NWA wrestlers coming out. I feel like wrestling, the creativity in wrestling is not what it used to be either, man. I mean, because I can go back to so many different eras of time, but like when that NWO shit was happening in the WCW, that was like the greatest fucking time, man. I mean, it was intense and it was believable. It really felt like a war. And now it's just like, I'm saying that the storylines are just more like, it's more than just, let's just have a wrestling match. This guy versus this guy for the first time ever, and then it just dies down. Man, this could really be something, man. And everybody knows, like, and basically, I mean, they could even have a concept about bringing justice, man, to you know, making justice happen. Like, and basically, man, it's like you got the heels versus the faces, you know, and then you get to see even somebody that may be having a feud right now, a big, like, you could have an NWA World Heavyweight Championship match right here on an AEW pay-per-view. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, you have your World AEW Championship match. You have your Women's World Championship match. You have your NWA World. I mean, this could be something special, man. It really can. And I don't know, like, you know, as for Tony and, I mean, Billy Corgan, you know, these guys can reach out and, I mean, something like that would be appreciated, and it would be big, and it would be something that, hey, shit, AEW and the NWA. And, you know, these people that, if you've been watching NWA, I remember I left a message on one of their videos, and I said that I like watching the product, but the studio wrestling is not going to appeal to most people. That day has come and gone, and the you know, the wrestling audience now, it's different. They'll look at this product and say, like, it looks outdated, and it did. And someone from the NWA from this actually reached out to me and was like, what type of change suggestions are you changes are you suggesting? Like, what's on your mind, right? And I told him, I said, even like an upgrade to the ring logo. I said, I know you're paying homage to NWA, and it's a respect factor. I said, and I love that. I appreciate that. I said, but you're not showing any less love by upgrading the look of your product. I mean, you don't have to go out and try to get the fanciest logo, and because it's about the ring action. I said, but when they look at the ring, they look at the arenas you're in, right? They look at your stage setup, all of that. It all means something, you know, and you can keep the nostalgia, but just with an upgrade. And lo and behold, you know, they didn't do anything like extremely fancy, but they went from that little green and blue, that with the green, like bluish matte, whatever, with the big yellow letters. It's like black and yellow, like a black ring with yellow letters now. But the bottom line of what I'm saying is, they did make some changes, and then they have another show. They have like the cages when you come out and all, the lights. So like they made those changes. They made some changes, and I like watching the NWA. You know, it's just, you know, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not going on their channel like, oh, this show sucks ass and you guys should do this, your products should. No. It's basically just, you know, information, you know, to you know, as someone who watches the product and supports the product. And, you know, I think they've been doing a good job. I know that they were, now the rumor that they were supposed to get a deal with the CW, and something happened, some type of match that they had, it was rumored that that's the reason it didn't happen. I'm like, that's stupid, man. I mean, whatever, you know, I don't know. But I would love to see the NWA on a bigger platform, man. Like, you know, MLW as well. You know, but this is one of the things that happens. People become slaves to the machine. I'll give you a perfect example. Tessa Blanchard gave people every right to not like her. Every right to look at her the way that they do. Right? She did some horrible, rotten things to people. And everybody that spoke up said what they said. And they like, nah, she's a rotten person. She's nothing but a bully. She's a racist. They said a lot of things about her. Okay? I read something with her saying it's not true and whatever, but never really came full circle with explaining anything. And I'm not talking about this bullshit, let's be in character and going on a wrestling show. No, nothing was ever really talked about. So, but my point is, she gave people reason to dislike her and not want her around. Okay? But people come to her defense and say, hey, you know, like I said what I said about the situation from what information that we got that supposedly happened or didn't happen or whatever. So I said what I said as far as her understanding that she was completely out of pocket and dead ass wrong and lesson was learned. Okay, so we're not going to revisit that. But for people that's coming to her defense saying I mean, man, it's not like she killed anybody. I mean, man, get over it. Okay, I asked these people, what the fuck do y'all got against Sasha Banks? Mercedes Moné. Okay, what? Because she's done nothing to any of you guys. All she fucking did was made a decision that I'm not going to be a slave to the machine. And I'm not going back to the WWE. Because what they want from me is not what I want for myself. And because Naomi folded and came back, and she's been in matches, but she loses almost every match she's in, and all of, her big matches on top of that. And yeah, she managed to become a tag champion with Bianca Belair. So basically, the division that her and Mercedes Moné was pushing to make better and to try to have women's wrestling looked at more seriously and things of that nature. Okay, so she gets to kind of redo it, but with Bianca this time. Okay, at the end of the day, people, it just comes down to, like what I'm saying, what did Mercedes Moné do? It's one thing to boo someone as a heel, but when you're like insulting people and calling them names and saying things about them, they've done nothing. She didn't do shit. But yet, people are defending Tessa Blanchard. So, and listen, I don't care on a personal level. I'm nobody's fan. I like what I like. But no, I'm no one's fan. I like things. I appreciate, certain things, certain forms of entertainment. And, I give people their props for, being good at what they do. But no, I have no emotional attachment. I'm no fan. Okay, I'm no one's fan. But yeah, Mercedes Moné, she's not known for calling people using racial slurs and being a bully to people, anything like that. Like I said, as far as her personality and her character, I mean, shit, I would hate to believe that any of these people, I would not even believe it for it to be the case that if any of these fucking wrestlers are really like their on-screen character, shit, man, and more than half of them would be scumbags. So, yeah, like what did she do that you guys show her so much hate? But a person that actually shows hate, you make excuses for. It's like this, right? I know someone who did this, and I know people that do this kind of type of stuff. Someone cheated on their husband, and they actually was praying, Lord, if I was wrong for what I did, Lord, forgive me. But Lord, you know my heart and you know what I've been through. And Lord, I am what you say I am. And your word says that I'm a sinner, Lord. And Lord, without you, I am nothing. And Lord, I'm not worth. All of this because this person was too stubborn to just say, I'm sorry. And there's no excuse for what I did. I was wrong. And I feel like shit for doing it. So no, if I was wrong, forgive me for what I did. What you mean if? Had he cheated on you, it would be no, well, if you would, no, you're wrong. You cheated on me. People can dish it out, but they can't take it. And this is what I'm saying. So if a person can do wrong and just don't talk about it, let it go away, and people will forget about it, but then people don't forget, right? It's just like when a fighter fails a drug test and then their innocence is not proven, but next thing you know, a year later they're back in the ring fighting. Hey, is this fighter clean or what? There was no closure on this, right? Type of situation where a fighter, they just had a female fighter. She failed a drug test. 3 months later, she gives a hair sample. Now, what the sanctioning bodies decided was that they don't think she willingly took anything, but she was suspended for a year. Make that make sense. Okay, these people say that you broke in his house and raped this woman. We don't think you did it. We didn't find DNA. Your DNA heard nothing. And actually, yeah, you have witnesses saying that you were at work. You're innocent, but you're on house arrest. What? Okay, so I'm innocent, but I'm still being punished. Make that make sense. So this is what I'm saying. But people just have this thing inside of them where they become slaves to something. And, look at yourself. Look at where you work right now. Let's say they start tampering with your pay. Then they start tampering with your benefits or something. Or they start screwing your hours up. You're going to find somewhere else to work. Or you're going to sit here, keep working at this place, being, violated, disrespected, thrown around like a piece of meat. We put you wherever we want to put you, and keep complaining, but yet you won't leave. Whereas the other people go, nah, I'm not dealing with this shit. They go work somewhere else. So what are you going to do? Hate on them and say, oh, man, I can't believe you left. What do you mean? So I can be miserable like you? When Naomi made her decision to go back to the WWE, hey, she was obviously okay with whatever deal they offered her, whatever they, I don't know how the conversation went. There was, whatever. But, Mercedes Moné said, nah, not for me. And not for nothing, Naomi is not the type of star. She doesn't have that type of star caliber or power that Mercedes Moné has. Make it no mistake about it. Naomi is a former WWE employer once she left the company. She's no superstar. There's not like, oh my God, we just gotta have Naomi. No, she went to TNA. She had a great TNA women's knockout run. She reinvented herself, and this is pretty much what former WWE wrestlers do. They go to TNA, reinvent themselves. Then when their contract is up, you know what the WWE does? Hey, Matt, Jeff, yeah, we've been watching you guys. Yeah, man, listen, we have a sweet offer for you guys, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? After you just said how the WWE are a bunch of backstabbers, they're crooked, they're this, they're that, guess what you do? You go running right back to the machine. And because Mercedes Moné didn't, this is why she gets all this hate. And it's just like, for example, when people say things like, oh, Vince McMahon loves competition. The WWE loves competition. No, they fucking don't. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. They look at a company like TNA and they see the position they're in. They're no threat to us. They're no threat. And believe me, if TNA was able to start selling out big venues, big arenas, and starting to get a lot of pay-per-view buys and shit, I guarantee you the WWE will stop working with them. That's why they won't work with AEW, because AEW is strong enough, to be in a position. They are. Look at where Adam Copeland is. Look at where FTR is. Look at where Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter. Look at where all of them are. Layla Gray. Look at where they are. Athena. You see what I'm saying? Are they in TNA? So this is the thing. He doesn't want to work. Why you think they never work with WCW, but they work with ECW? And see, people forget that. That was the same move. Let's have a working relationship with ECW. Let's prevent any of these people leaving there to go to WCW. We don't want WCW to become any stronger. It's the same strategy that they're using right now. Now, all of you WWE marks don't want to admit the truth, or maybe you're just too naive and inexperienced with watching this shit to understand how this shit works, because this is what's happening. They don't want to see AEW to grow and become even stronger. They don't want that. So, yeah, let's work with TNA, and let's keep wrestlers from leaving there and going to AEW. And in fact, when we have wrestlers that leave this company, our influence will be there. So guess what? They'll go to TNA, who's harmless to us, instead of AEW. Bobby Lashley himself said, you guys saw at the before the World's End pay-per-view, and he was being interviewed by I always forget Moxley's name. I forget people's names so easy. Moxley's wife was interviewing him, and I remember he was asked about, coming to AEW. What was it like? How did it feel about like the decision to come here? And it was great, man. Tony was nothing but a gentleman, made me feel welcome. He said, I got guys in WWE that was, like when we first heard about AEW, let's make fun of it. Let's talk shit. And he's like, it's stupid because it gives us other places to go, which he's absolutely right. And this is something that I've always found to be really stupid. At no point in time did I ever want to see WWE go away, or the WA or ECW, or what have they done to me that I want to see a company just go away? If I don't have an interest in something, I just don't watch it. It's as simple as that. But the immaturity in people is so strong that it's like people don't understand. Like, you know, that if you think that it's fair to a wrestler that, for one, they don't have the right to control their own lives. So now, once the WWE decides, or any company, oh, we have nothing for you right now, we're going to part ways, but hey, thank you for everything, and hey, we're looking forward to the future. You never know, and hopefully, like, you know, we can work together in the future. So what is that wrestler supposed to do? Retire? Go home and cross their fingers and just pray for that company to call them back? No, they're going to go and do things, you know, otherwise. They're going to explore other opportunities. Hell, you know what's funny, man? I saw a picture one day, right? It was a still shot. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look, and I'm like, what's the wrestler's name? I forget her name, man. I just made her in a video game. The Virtuoso, okay? But I forget her actual goddamn name. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's her. And I'm like, no, that's her. It was a commercial ad, but it was a still picture for a college. And then all of a sudden, I saw the actual commercial. I'm like, that's Deonna Purrazzo. I'm like, that's her. That's Deonna. That is her. I'm looking at her and I'm listening to her talk. It's a full commercial. And I saw the ad first, though. And I'm like, that's Deonna Purrazzo. So, hey, good for you. Hell, you got fucking Busta Rhymes out here doing Walmart commercials. You got Snoop Dogg out here doing T-Mobile commercials. So, hell, right? You know, Samoa Joe's over here doing filming for that show Heavy Metal or whatever it's called, you know, for Peacock. You got Deonna Purrazzo out here. She's doing commercials and stuff. Hey, people are trying to earn. They're earning a living, man. These people are human beings. They work. This is what they're doing. Okay, it's just that the work that they want to do is in front of a camera. But I just looked and I said, yeah, that's Deonna Purrazzo. Okay, that's her. Funny thing about it is, like, people seem to forget all of these different companies, these smaller companies, that's where these wrestlers come from. It's been like this forever, man. I used to watch Brock Lesnar and John Cena wrestle in this smaller company way back in the day. You know how many times Rick Rude have worked with the Ultimate Warrior when he was the Dingo Warrior, way before they came to the WWE? Do you know how many times Andre and Hulk Hogan used to wrestle in the AWA? And it's nothing. This is the way it's been. And why they bring these people in? Because they have a chemistry. They've worked together before. It's nothing new. And for someone to sit here and celebrate the destruction of a company is crazy. And it shows you the mentality of the WWE, because they've made so many videos. The self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, the rise and fall of the NWO, the rise and fall of WCW, the rise and fall of AWA, the rise and fall of, I mean, like, why do you always want to make a video with the statement of, see, yeah, these companies, these different individuals have done great things, and then they fell from grace, but we're still here. That's the mission statement. So when I see this, it's like, okay, right. The NWA has been around longer. It's the oldest wrestling company out there, even older than the WWE, yeah. And this is where I'm looking at Billy Corgan, I'm looking at Tony Khan, and I'm like, man, one of you guys should have reached out to the other by now, a long time ago. And I said this when Tony Khan first started doing this whole thing with New Japan and everything, CMLL. I'm like, hey, man, listen, I get you. And hey, do that. Nobody's saying not do that. But the NWA is another American-based company as well that have some pretty damn good talent. That's where Camille came from. That's where Camille was at. I used to watch Camille over there in the NWA. I watched her in the independent circus period. But, she's one of the people I was watching as well. That's what EC3 is. There's several people that's there that's names that we remember, and there's a lot of new faces. But this is what happens when you can see it. That's the thing about Tony Khan that I respect, is you can see that he has an appreciation for professional wrestling, period. Not just AEW, just period. Okay, and like when people talk this shit about how WWE loves competition, no, let me explain something to you, man. If I'm running my business here and I'm saying, okay, I have my stable of wrestlers, right? That company have their stable. Hey, I like your product. Hey, I love what y'all doing, man. I'm watching y'all tonight, man. Tear the house down. I'm not sitting there going, man, I don't want this company around. They're doing this, they're doing that. No. Why do I need to take cheap shots? Just like Vince McMahon used to, well, they're WCW, they're beating us in the ratings, and but we're selling more merchandise, and we have other business propositions that we have that we're outselling. Why do you think he wanted to make that note? You think Ted fucking Turner is going to come on TV to sit and talk about no, because bottom line is they used to try to talk shit about how the ratings don't lie. Right, that's what Vince was saying before. But when WCW for 83 weeks kicked their ass, it was like, now, well, we sell more of this and more of that. And I can tell you something. I grew up in the hood. And from hood to hood, I ain't never seen nobody wear no Hulk Hogan shirt, no John Cena shirt, no fucking Jake the Snake Roberts, or nobody. But I saw NWO shirts every fucking where. In the fucking hood. Okay, so that's saying something about a product, because let's be real. You don't even have a lot of like black people in professional wrestling that you even know. Let's just be real. And if you look at a roster of every wrestling company that you've seen, look at the roster. There's not many black people in professional wrestling. So for us to see NWO, I'm talking New Jersey, everywhere. Newark, New Jersey, Irvington, New Jersey, East Orange, New Jersey, Hillside, New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, Passaic, Piscataway, all Jersey City, New York, everywhere I've been, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, everywhere you went, somebody was rocking NWO shirts back then. I'm like, okay. And I did see a few Goldberg shirts. I saw some Goldberg shirts. And outside of that, the only people I seen that like I saw some Austin shirts, but I'm talking about in the ghetto. All right, I'm talking about you don't see. In fact, people wasn't even really watching wrestling like that. The NWO had people going, yo, I like this shit. Yo, I'm watching it. I like this shit, right? I remember people seeing Sting going, nah. I'm like, yo, you remember the dude had the spiky hair? Oh, that's him. Because that's when he went to the Crowler. Yo, this shit is hot, bro. Yeah, everything was different all of a sudden. So the impact was different. And this is what I'm saying. Now, that was WCW, yes. But if you care about competition, like you love the competition, then you wouldn't want their stars. You wouldn't go trying to get them to come to your company when the contract ends. You'd be more than comfortable recruiting your talent from the independent leagues, bringing them into your company, changing their image, building them up, and creating your own stars. Why would you want to fucking take who they have already? If you so much cared about, if you cared about wrestling and you love the competition? No, you don't. You don't. You don't. And TNA better be careful, because if a wrestler has a choice where he wants to go, the WWE knows all they got to do is say, hey, what are you making over there, TNA? Okay. Know that. Man, I feel for you. You need something right now? You good? Okay, well, this is what we're willing to offer you. My contract expires in 3 weeks. Okay, bottom line. And there's several contracts that expired. And TNA, I know Joe Hendry's, Jordan Grace, Speedball, Mike Bailey. There's a couple of other people, and I Rich Swann is gone. What's the dude name? The big dude. He used to be in WWE. They had a little group, and then he left. AJ Francis, his contract is up. I don't know if he re-signed. Now I know AJ Francis, they said, was backstage. A couple of people that was backstage at World's End. But these guys that their contracts are up. The point is, these are some of the bigger names, the biggest names in TNA. And if they don't resign, and WWE goes, our little plan worked. Come on in, fellas. Now, AJ Francis might not go to the WWE. He might not go back to the WWE. But he might try to join AEW. I don't know what's going on with that. I do remember I saw some event that went down, and I saw AJ Francis walk up and dap up MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. I don't remember what the hell I was watching. I really don't. But, you know, hey, man, wrestlers are always looking for opportunity because they know that it's a shaky business. Nothing's guaranteed. And the bigger star that you are, the better chance you have of having longevity and staying power in the company that you want to be in. So, yeah, TNA better be careful because the WWE, you know, they can afford to pay these people a lot more than they can. So, if they're willing to do it, what do you think these wrestlers are going to do? You see, and for TNA, what they better stop doing is making WWE like when you can't. I would never in my life have a second to somebody I bow to you, sir mentality. Never. And TNA, like you don't hear WWE talking about TNA. Only time you hear them mention TNA is when they have a TNA wrestler on their show. That's it. You know, WWE will be, TNA will have a show. They're mentioning WWE. That just because you mention them is not going to make people watch the show, man. You know, things of that nature. And for the WWE to be working with them, fine. Let them do what they're doing. But if I'm Tony, well, I can't say if I'm Tony Khan, because, you know, he's who he is. I'm going to say I just don't understand why he hasn't thought of, you know what, I want to work with NWA. And like I said, man, they got, you know, wrestling storylines are not what they used to be either, man. It's like, it's just, there's so much that can be done. But it's like these guys, even the Vince Russos, the Eric Bischoffs, all of them have this same outdated, Bully Ray, all of them, Booker T, they all have the same Dutch Mantel, all of them. The same old school, same old, been there, done that a million times mentality. Everything that I hear them say, it's like, this is what they do. If you were, I wish I had connections. I promise you guys, I would design a fucking wrestling game that would blow your minds. You'd go, what the fuck? Where have you been all this time, man? Like, we could, if I had connections to write scripts for wrestling shows, you guys would go, yo, this guy, I'm telling you. But people, the visions that they have, everything, even just from the way these wrestlers walk, their entrances, how they dress, everything, their demeanor, their cadence, it's just the same. Everybody has the same fucking, like nobody really stands out. They all just do the same shit. And the in-ring product, man, it's like, even when, like, I like AEW, okay, I like some of the stuff that happens in WWE. I've never really, like, WWE, it's like with them, some of the shit that they do. I like TNA, not the way I used to. Like, I'm just not as interested as I used to. Like, when I watch it, I'm not as entertained as I used to be. Let me say it that way. But I just like wrestling in general. I like what the NWA is doing. And the reason I specified about the WWE is because, no, it's not people say, you gotta love the WWE. No, you don't. And I really don't like the WWE like I used to either. The problem with wrestling as a whole is they forgot. Characters need to stand out. Example, the Viking Raiders look like a throwback team, but they lose every match that they have. All these other wrestlers that when you look at when Bray Wyatt, they had Bray Wyatt, they screwed him over. He reinvented himself, they screwed him over again. Like, all of these different things. And then I look at this Wyatt Six, and it's like, this is the weakest group of wrestlers I ever fucking saw, man. You got Bo Dallas. You got a Bo leave. And the chick that all of a sudden, she then went from being a psycho to being a superhero to now I don't know what the hell she's supposed to be now. They basically just have a group of underachievers. They brought Eric Rowan in, and it's like, what's really happening with this group? Like, so it's not about just giving them the look. It's everything. It's when you combine even like the storylines and how things happen. This is what I'm saying. Like, man, I would love to see a showdown with AEW and the NWA, but not just the typical this guy versus this guy, this guy versus this guy. Like a build up to a pay-per-view. And let's just say for like a full month, man, you have AEW, like NWA guys coming to the AEW shows and vice versa. AEW wrestlers coming to NWA shows, and and this is how the feuds will happen, will build up. And guess what? This is going to all be on pay-per-view. AEW is now on Max as well, and guess what? People who normally don't even see NWA will see NWA. And I like I said, I can sit here and give you the ideas, and it'll like, no, it's not what I'm here to do for that. This is just something I thought about like a while ago. And like I said, they can have a part. If they did it with MLW, and this is why I say NWA, if they did it with MLW, same thing. Only, as far as homage to TBS and TNT, that element would be excluded. They could still pay homage in some kind of way, but it would have nothing to do with like the origins of like wrestling being on there in TNT and TBS, and now here we are partnering with the NWA. Like it would be different. It would just be like paying homage for just providing us with wrestling, and now they have the opportunity to be on this network and we're doing great things type of thing. But with the NWA, it'd just be far more effective. It would just be far more effective. But in that sense. But yeah, I mean, it's about building a show, man. It's not, like I said, I'm not talking about partnering up with them to have AEW versus NWA or just to have a showcase. Like, no, there's injustice going on in AEW. There's injustice going on in the NWA, right? And you have these two companies come together. And basically, like I said, man, I mean, you could have so much shit going on, man. And instead of having filler matches, you know what would happen? This won't be a situation like now when you watch wrestling, like during the prelims, everybody's not in the building. They're walking around getting refreshed. Man, shit, if you had this type of thing, the building would be filled from the very first match. Because nothing would be like prelims. It would just be so, like, you know how you get like, 4 or 5 free matches during the prelims? And no, you get all of this shit, man. Because it's stories. Everything has a meaning. There's no filler matches. Everything that's happening is going to be a purpose and a reason that they're wrestling. It's not just a match just to put on the show. And I mean, if there's so much that can be done, man, so much. But like I said, people have a certain mindset. They do things a certain way, and I don't believe in being stuck in a particular time frame. I just feel like when you're making a product for the people to watch, you gotta, like, for me, I'm imagine how people would feel seeing this entrance. What if this happened? Imagine this person coming out. I mean, and the amount of legends that would be there, man. The amount of legends and how they had those skyboxes, and I mean, I would just the amount of legends that would be there, man. I'd had a legends front row, man. But I mean, yeah, man. I mean, and just imagine the throwback clips to old NWA matches and stuff that happened. Just I mean, and that feeling that people would have. This is TBS. This is TNT. This company was there in the beginning. I mean, it's just so much that they could actually do, man. And the reality is, I mean, even just segments that you can have in between matches with like, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have formats and all of that, but listen, it is what it is. It is what it is. And this would also spark things where, and shit, I know Billy Corgan wouldn't say no. I know hey, shit, man, let's make it happen. You know, and then he had no reason to feel bad about it. Because here's the deal. Let's just say, for example, to be fair, if you had a match where you got like, you know, a 4-on-4. Let's say you got two guys from the NWA and two guys from AEW faced, fighting two guys from NWA, two guys from AEW, heel. Even if somebody, to make it fair, let an NWA guy pin an NWA guy, or have an AEW guy pin an AEW guy, in whatever scenario, right? If you want to do it that way, you know, it really shouldn't matter. You don't want to make it predictable. But bottom line is, you know, it's not AEW versus NWA. It's a combination of AEW and NWA guys in that particular situation. You could do the same thing in the female division, you know, but you can, but bottom line is all these matches will have something. And if you have AEW, just imagine somebody having an NWA title match on AEW soil, and the title change hands on AEW soil. Imagine when these people go back to the NWA. Just imagine, like, and you understand what I'm saying? Like the interest, the intrigue, all of this type of shit. You know, same thing. Like, I mean, there's so much that's going on, and I'm looking at both products, and I'm like, why the fuck haven't they even dabbled in this yet, man? Like, this is something that should have happened, or they should be working on to make happen in the future, man. You know, I just feel like wrestling as a whole have fallen asleep a little bit, though, in a lot of ways. It's still a good product, but they've fallen asleep. I mean, wrestling, period. They've fallen asleep, man. Who knows, man? Sometimes people see videos. Like I said, I was somebody from the NWA. I don't know who the fuck it was talking to me, was actually typing. We were going back and forth. They were like, yeah, I like that idea, man. It's like, you know what? You know, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's right there on their channel. And I was saying, this was like maybe 2 years ago now. Maybe about 2 years ago. But yeah, they actually changed all that, you know. Like I said, they didn't go too fancy with the logo and stuff like that. But it's like I said, man, it's like when you watch this show and you see this little studio, and I know they brought back studio wrestling, and I know they were trying to, you know, emulate the way it was before, but it really just looked outdated. And I'll bet you, if someone was turning the channels and didn't know, they would think like, oh, they're showing reruns of the old NWA, because that's exactly what it looked like. And I'm like, nah, man, you guys, like, this look is not popping. It's not going to get the attention, and the people watching, they're going to have questions like, why, you know, what is this? Like, because it looked old. I think that every company that really want to see growth, they want to they want to see growth. They want to see things happen differently. Got to think outside the box, man. I mean, you know, like I said, Tommy Dreamer in the previous video, Tommy Dreamer was saying how he's predicting that TNA is going to sell out this 8,000 seat arena, a 10,000 seat arena, and a 20,000 seat arena, because they have events coming up that they're going to be in arenas those sizes. Hey, I hope that they can. I hope that they can. I'd love to see TNA back in a better position than they ever were. I don't look at this, oh, it's a threat, oh, I don't want to, you know, man, listen, it's wrestling. You know, if you like the Dallas Cowboys, do you only watch the Dallas Cowboys play, or do you just watch football in general? You know, so this is what I'm saying. But I think that they could do some great things with the NWA. And the fact that Tony Khan is so fond of, you know, what TNT and TBS presented and what they had, this is what I'm saying. Like, man, hey, man, come on, Tony. Hey, Billy Corgan, man. Hey. WWE already done stole your goddamn idea and started working with TNA. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Now I'm sitting here saying this right now. What if the WWE decides to work with TNA with NWA next or MLW? Yeah, what if? I mean, I told you guys, man, these people are all predictable. Remember when I told you Eric Bischoff, that whole 83 weeks whole shit, they do nothing. Him and that guy Conrad do nothing but sit up and talk shit about AEW. They never have any positive things to say. Every single day, they just tear down AEW. Like, goddamn, they didn't even have the next show yet. You're still talking about AEW. Everything is just, oh, there's no saving AEW. AEW is, Tony just doesn't get it. Right, says the man who basically allowed Hulk Hogan to help you screw yourself. The same man that allowed Vince McMahon to dump him in a fucking garbage truck. I mean, all of this stuff. And listen, what you've accomplished, nobody can take away from you, but life goes on, man. Nobody's stuck in that fucking capsule of, oh, remember the NWO, remember the Attitude Era, remember that, yeah, times come and go. Just like this era right now. 20 fucking years from now, somebody will be going, oh, wrestling is better now than it ever was, if it's still around. I'm just saying. But people don't get it. That's all he does. That's all they do is sit up and rip on AEW. And I told you, I see WWE do some lame things. I see them do some uninteresting things. And guess what happens? They find a way to try to make it genius. And I said, you want to know why Eric Bischoff does that? You know why Bully Ray does that? Because they don't want to burn bridges. Because I'm pretty sure if the WWE called them right now, both of them would in a heartbeat. And isn't it ironic that the very two people that I mentioned did exactly what I said, and both ended up back on WWE programming one way or another? Now, what I find about those type of things is like this. Yeah, somebody can come and make an appearance and they play a role for that night. But where, to me, that's kind of stupid is like, let's just take, for example, okay, Shawn Michaels runs the shots over there in NXT, right? And Eric Bischoff shows up and he calls a match. He puts a match together for that night. Then what? So you just showed up just for that one night, and then what? Like, to me, that's just kind of weak. It's just kind of weak. And then I think the same week or the following week, he pops up on a MLW show. I think it was that guy. I think it was Mance Warner. I think that was the rest of that confronted him. But however it went, and then he wound up kicking the guy below the belt, and I mean, nothing that you saw had a great pop from the crowd at all. Nothing. It was just a very mild. Oh, okay, Eric Bischoff. Oh, okay. So like nothing that they. This is why I say these guys talk about wrestling and what this company should do and that company should do, like in a way of just finding fault where I can't find anything positive to say. If they're talking shit, it's because pretty much they don't expect you to call them to ever come do any more work in their company. Remember, he came out in a couple episodes of AEW Dynamite and praised Tony Khan and praised him. If tomorrow AEW is doing the same thing the same way, and just say the ratings just picked up, if somehow Eric Bischoff would go, now he gets it. Like, no, he's doing the same shit. Sometimes it's just like people don't understand. If you remember when Vince McMahon created his football league, and it was just bad football. The concepts wasn't bad. It was just bad football, man. And then you got JR and Jerry the King Lawler as commentators. That part was a joke, man. They're doing these wrestling tactics and storyline scripted shit and putting WWE wrestlers involved in their programming. It was just like, okay. When he had his bodybuilding federation, everything was always gimmick. Storyline gimmick. And it's like, okay. And it failed. Okay. The bodybuilding failed. The football league failed. them making their own, having their own movie production, all that shit. None of that shit took off and became big. So what they're good at is what they do as far as putting their product together as far as wrestling goes. And it's like when people don't pay attention to these type of things, they what I'm saying, they put people on pedestals. They put, oh, this company is this and this, and they have a second and third place mentality. And I feel like that's one of TNA's downfalls. Now, one thing I will say about Dixie Carter, and I give her all the credit in the world for this. Now, she might not have had the best ideas as far as how she run a show, but Dixie Carter wasn't afraid of no damn Vince McMahon in the WWE, and she didn't give a fuck about going head up. They went head up, and then that generation didn't care about the Monday Night Wars. They tried to bring that back. They didn't care about that. Oh, they could have put their show on any other night. Why they got to come on Mondays? I'm like, wow. And guess what? Someone from the WWE, they did a commercial, remember? They could have easily did that. They did the same shit when WCW created Monday Nitro. The wrestling fans would love to be able to watch both shows. And WCW could have very easily put their show on another night, but they chose to put it on the same night, and it's robbing the fans. Oh, but Vince McMahon loves head-up competition, right? So why'd you make a commercial out of pity talking about how because of the decision of WCW to go head up, now the fans get cheated. They can't watch both shows. Okay, right. But isn't it funny? Because TNA, when they put their show on, you purposely move SmackDown to Thursdays. Because it's like, well, whoever was going to watch TNA, now more than likely they're going to watch SmackDown. See, they did all of this trying to block. And I was watching all of this. And I'm listening to all of these WWE slave to the machine mentality people make up excuses and act like they didn't see these things. So, yeah, I mean, if, and the NWA doesn't have a lot of traction. So for the WWE to work with the NWA, let's just say if they did, right? It's an opportunity that NWA and AEW could have. And the difference, too, is, Tony Khan is more of a genuine person. He's more of, I'm here for wrestling. I'm not doing this to try to block the WWE or TNA or nobody else. WWE does things for their own selfish benefit. And pretty much it would be the same thing. You know what? They got some people we wouldn't mind, but they and this is what I'm saying. They would not work with the NWA out of interest to do nothing for the sake of professional wrestling. It's all about their product. That's all. That's all it is. And that's why I told you, you will not see Jordynne Grace show her face on SmackDown or Raw until she's exclusively signed with the WWE. Was I wrong? Okay. Just like, for example, somebody I remember said, yeah, but look at the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm like, bro, you do realize that the Motor City Machine Guns are no longer in TNA, right? Yeah, but they're no longer in TNA. They have nothing to do with TNA. They jumped ship and they signed with the WWE. The WWE kept it, and then they came out and they won. And this was like, hey, man, they deserved that. But they wasn't going to get that if they were still in TNA. They have nothing to do with TNA anymore. They're gone. Yeah. And people forget that Alex Shelley and what's the other one name? Chris Sabin. They came out on an episode of Dynamite. They came out as heels that night. But at the same time, this is my point. They've done the same thing. The Beatdown Clan, Bobby Lashley, Kenny King, MVP, TNA Wrestling. Who takes that idea and take that same Bobby Lashley MVP, but then put him with, I forget the other guy's name, and then they throw Shelton Benjamin in there, right? And call it the Hurt Business. Where did it originate from? TNA. Wasn't an original WWE plan. The WWE is the Apple of wrestling. Apple will watch Samsung, Huawei, all these other companies come up with something innovative. They were known for doing this, and then they will go, I like that. Now we're going to take that, but we're going to put our own twist on it. Just like, for example, These phones had mobile to mobile far before iPhone did. Then when the iPhone did it, they just called it FaceTime. That's all. That's all. Samsung already had that shit. All these other companies, that's the thing. They're not innovative. They just ride and piggyback off of somebody else's ideas. Okay, but that's what the WWE does. People think that they fucking started Battle Royals. No. They just called theirs the Royal Rumble. Companies were having fucking Battle Royals far before. They're not the first ones to do it. You know? No. So the things that they did, come up with first, okay, great. Nobody's taking credit from that. But this is what I'm saying. It's everything is, if it happens anywhere else, it doesn't matter. Until they do it in the WWE, that's when it matters. And that's why the wrestling fans are so toxic. And the people that's within wrestling are toxic, because as long as they're making a paycheck with you, they'll lie and say all types of stuff. But if they're not making any money with you, they want to talk shit. They want to talk trash. That's why I don't have any interest in, like, when I see these old wrestlers sitting here talking shit about other wrestlers and how that person this and this. I'm like, man, you talking about some shit that happened 40 fucking years ago. You should be over that by now. But, and it's always, let's find dirt to put on people. Let's talk about the worst of people. But then when somebody is doing some shit right now, people act like it's not a big deal. And this is why I said wrestling stories back in the day was different. I mean, let's be real. Ivan Koloff and Nikita Koloff had us all fooled. We were little kids watching this shit, and I could have swore they were Russian, right? Then come to find out years and years later, no, they're not. They're American. What? Oh! Sting, I'm going to break your half. Come to find out, nope, American. They had us all fooled. The storylines, I remember how angry people were when the Iron Sheik attacked Bob Backlund. Remember them fucking things Bob Backlund used to use? Him and the Iron Sheik was challenging each other, and when Bob Backlund went, he attacked him. And so people wanted Hulk Hogan to win so bad, because it wasn't because they liked Hulk Hogan so much. It was because they hated the Iron Sheik. Now, we know the Iron Sheik is really from Iran, whatever, but bottom line, what I'm saying is there was a lot of people that wasn't from the country that they were pretending to be from. But the storylines were different, and they made you really, want to see them win. And, then Hulk Hogan got stale that, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, red and yellow bullshit. But bottom line is, what I'm saying, wrestling had you intrigued, man. It was different, man. And that's why even when I say people can talk all the shit they want about the Ultimate Warrior, but that motherfucker, when he spoke, it don't matter what the fuck he said. The motherfucker sound serious, and it was like you believe what the fuck he was saying. Right? You believed what he was saying. And I'm sitting here, I'm watching, and I just remember being so into to wrestling, man. And of course, as you get older, man, you learn different things, you mature and all. But anyway, yeah, I just have a lot of ideas, but I really don't know why the two of these guys didn't try to work something out, man. Never know what the future holds. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all right now. I'll catch y'all on the next one.